Welcome to Fan for Racing Radio. I'm Fan for Racing Sharon, and joining me today is Jay Huseman, and we are here for the Kansas preview for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. So definitely looking forward to the racing out at Kansas this weekend, Jay. What do we have for the entry list?
Well, we got a lot of things going on here, and one thing is bad news for one car, because we do have 39 drivers and teams listed for the 38 spots for the Kansas Lottery 300 at Kansas Speedway. So again, one team will miss the race, but something to keep an eye on. Number 07, Nick Lights, is on the list, as well as several doing double duty. The 11 is going to be Brendan Queen. We just talked about him from the Arca Menard series. Then you got the number 14 will be Garrett Smithley. Modified driver, the number 19 is Justin Bond Sr., going to be racing for Joe Gibbs Racing. Another one doing double duty, you just mentioned, Patrick Staropoli in the number 24. The number 32 will be Austin Green. The number 35, as well as the number 91, is to be announced. And Sharon said she couldn't find any updates to those, so we got to leave those as yet not announced. The number 45, there we got Mason Massey. Joey Gase is in the number 53. And the last one doing the double duty, the number 70 of Leland Honeyman, also in that Arca Menard Series race. And another one, and I don't even know what team this is, honestly. The number 76 will be Cole Raz. That's not normally where we see Cole Raz.
Okay, and one that I noticed they didn't put on here is that Raja Caruth is going to be in the 17 this weekend as well.
That is odd that they wouldn't have that on there. You're right.
And he's with HMS.
I did hear whether he was talking about that following the truck race, that he was going to be Xfinity racing this weekend. So good deal for Raja.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and get into the details for NASCAR Xfinity Series race. They'll be racing the Kansas Lottery 300 out at Kansas Speedway, which is a 1.5-mile asphalt oval. They'll race on Saturday, September the 27th at 4 p.m. Eastern on their home network, the CW, starting at 3:30 p.m. Eastern for the pre-race coverage. Radio coverage will also be available on MRN and SiriusXM NASCAR Channel 90. They'll race a distance of 300 miles over 200 laps. Stage 1 and 2 are both 45 laps apiece, with Stage 1 ending on lap 45, Stage 2 ends on lap 90, and then the final stage is 110 laps ending on lap 200. Where are you going to watch this weekend? Well, we've already told you about the Arca Menard Series race on Friday night, starting at 8 p.m. on Fox Sports 1, MRN, and SiriusXM. But they will have the Xfinity Series practice and Kennemental pole qualifying on Saturday, September the 27th, on the CW app at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. The race again, it starts at 4 o'clock, and that's on the CW network along with MRN and SiriusXM NASCAR Radio. So we've got some good details to give you here for insights on the Kansas race for the Xfinity Series.
Well, I just can't believe how time flies, because I remember Kansas Speedway opening. And this weekend marks the 26th running of a NASCAR Xfinity Series race at Kansas Speedway, running from 2001 all the way through 2025.
And Kansas has been on the Xfinity Series schedule every year since that inaugural race in 2001.
It's also the fifth of 6 races on a 1.5-mile tracks this season. Again, we're getting down to the end here, and the 1.5 miles only got 2 of them left.
And Kansas is the second race in the round of 12. The Charlotte Motor Speedway's road course will be the cutoff race, and that will take place next week.
And that means the 4 lowest drivers in points after the Charlotte Motor Speedway road course will be eliminated from the Xfinity Series playoffs. And we'll look at who they are and where they're at here in just a minute.
And I think it's going to be highly competitive this weekend, Jay.
I think so.
This is the 8th Xfinity Series playoff race that Kansas has hosted since the playoffs started in 2016. Kansas was in the regular season in 22 and 23.
As we start looking at points, any driver who leaves Kansas 57 points above the 8th place will advance to the round of 8 on points. So again, that's one full race there, 57 points where you need to be.
And I think Connor Zilisch is going to be rather safe. He enters Kansas with 85 points above the cut line and 82 points above 8th place. So I think he's in pretty good shape.
I would have to agree with that, but you said it being highly competitive. Carson Kvapil at plus 16, Harrison Burton plus 9, and Sheldon Creed at plus 7 all climbed above the cut line at Bristol, but again, barely.
And then we've got those drivers that fell below the cut line because when those guys came up, the other guys came down. Nick Sanchez is down along with Jesse Love by just 3 points. So they're basically tied. Sammy Smith is down 24 points. They all fell below that cut line at Bristol.
Now, interestingly enough, it's both Richard Childress Racing drivers that enter Kansas below the cut line. You mentioned Jesse Love at -3 and Austin Hill at -16. And he started at the very bottom because he started right at 0 when it came to the initial point.
And then Eric Almirola won the race at Bristol, the 3rd straight playoff race won by a non-playoff driver, which is kind of interesting.
You know, in the Xfinity Series, that's a little more usual, but with what we've seen Connor Zilisch do this year, it was a battle, no doubt. Now, Joe Gibbs Racing ended a 18-race winless streak at Bristol. That was their longest in the Xfinity Series since a 34-race streak between 2006 and 2007.
And Connor Zilisch tied the Xfinity Series record with 15 straight top 5 finishes. He can break that record set by Sam Ard in 1983. He could break it this weekend.
His average finish is 2.1 in the last 15 races, and that's the best in series history in a 15-race span. That's an average finish of 2nd. I mean, just over. That's unbelievable.
A little more on Connor Zilisch here. Connor Zilisch's 9 wins this season are a record for the most wins by a rookie.
And he has won 7 of the last 9 races this season. And again, it's tying him with Sam Ard for most in a 9-race span. If you're a longtime fan of the Xfinity Series, Sam Ard is kind of the standard bearer. So you see him tying some records with him.
Okay, and another mention here for Connor Zilisch. He's won 33% of his starts. That's the best win percentage all time. He is just incredible.
And we talked about this on Monday night on our Hot Topics as far as rumor. Randall Burnett, currently with Kyle Busch at the Cup Series, possibly leaving. Well, he is, because he was announced as Connor Zilisch's crew chief next season when he moves to the Cup Series with Trackhouse Racing. So he's already got a new home next year.
He does indeed. And Junior Motorsports won 16 races this season with a series record 6 different drivers. All 6 drivers won in the last 18 races. And it doesn't include Parker Kligerman, who won in a relief role at Daytona. And since we're on Junior Motorsports here, we should probably mention it was also announced that Rodney Childers is going to be moving over to Junior Motorsports next year.
Yeah, that's certainly interesting, and I know we'll talk about that on Hot Topics on Monday and get some opinions on that. It was not what I was expecting, that's for sure. Now, Sheldon Creed unfortunately extended a streak here. He's got his 15th career runner-up finish at Bristol, and that is the most in series history without a win. He is still knocking hard on that door, just can't quite get through it.
And Junior Motorsports has had at least one car finish top 5 in a record 29 straight races. That's amazing.
Now, Brandon Jones with 2 wins is the only active driver to win at Kansas in the Xfinity Series. So odds are we'll have a new winner. Not to say it can't be Brandon Jones, but the odds aren't necessarily in his favor.
All right. Now, 7 drivers on the entry list. 1 at Kansas. That includes Jones, who has the 2 Xfinity Series wins. Christian Eckes has a win in trucks and ARCA. Austin Hill has won there in trucks. Sanchez has 2 ARCA wins there. Creed also won in ARCA, as did Jesse Love, and Brendan Queen.
Well, that should make things interesting. A lot of experience at the track, just not on the Xfinity side. Now, I mentioned Joe Gibbs Racing. They have won 13 of the last 18 Kansas races, and that is with 9 different drivers. So we'll take a look at who's in the JGR machines this weekend, because that could be huge.
Okay, and Brendan Butterbean Queen is making his second career start at Kansas, driving the Colleague Racing number 11. He finished 20th in his Xfinity Series debut at Bristol just last week.
And you mentioned it off the entry list. Rajah Caruth will drive the Hendrick Motorsports number 17. It's his first start for HMS since Phoenix in 2023, where he finished 14th.
And 4 of the 25 Kansas races have gone into overtime. The last time they did that was in July of 2020.
And you talked a little bit about Junior Motorsports. They've won 3 of the 4 races on the 1.5-mile tracks this season. So Joe Gibbs Racing, Junior Motorsports.
We'll see what happens. Okay, now Justin Allgaier has 6 wins on 1.5-mile tracks. That's the most among active drivers.
And the pass for the win came on an overtime restart in the last 3 races on 1.5-mile tracks. So look for some excitement this weekend at Kansas.
Okay, and Toyota snapped an 18-race winless streak at Bristol, their longest streak since their first Xfinity Series win in 2007.
We talked about Connor Zilic. We'll put some of his stats in one line here. He leads the series with 9 wins, 16 top 5s, 848 laps led, an 8.4 average finish, and 7 poles this season.
And Justin Allgaier leads the series with 11 stage wins this season.
Now we got co-leaders when it comes to top 10s, and that's Connor Zilic and Jesse Love, as they have 18 top 10s on the season.
And Justin Allgaier and Connor Zilic each won the fastest lap award 5 times this season. Remember, we thought Justin Allgaier was kind of on his own with that. All of a sudden, Connor Zilic has caught up to him.
Yep, picking them up. So now we do have Justin Allgaier's 28 career wins, right now 9th on the all-time wins list, and just 1 away from tying Matt Kenseth.
Justin Allgaier is 2 top 10s away from becoming the first driver to reach 300 Xfinity Series top 10 finishes.
And he's done it in just under 500 starts, as Justin Allgaier make his 499th career start at Kansas this weekend.
Chevrolet has led 3,291 of the 4,301 laps so far this season. That's 77% of the laps.
And all these stats we've been talking about have pretty much been on the Chevrolet side, as they have won 23 of 27 races. That's the most all-time by a manufacturer through 27 races in series history.
And 5 races this year have ended with a last lap pass. But we've got some clinch scenarios to think about. This is playoff race number 2 for the Xfinity Series.
Well, I mentioned that, so nobody is locked in, as it was a non-playoff driver that did win at Bristol, so nobody advanced via the win. Again, a repeat winner or a win by a driver who cannot advance to the next round. You need that 57 points above the 8th winless driver in the standings. Same points requirements would hold true if a new win comes from among Connor Zilic, Justin Allgaier, or Sam Mayer. If it's not him, one of the other 2, Connor Zilic would only need 23 additional points. Justin Allgaier, 52. Sam Mayer, Carson Kvapil, Harrison Burton, Brandon Jones, and Sheldon Creed would need help. Now, if the win comes from Carson Kvapil, Connor Zilic would need 24 points, Allgaier 53, Mayer, Burton, Jones, and Creed all needing help. If the win comes lower, Harrison Burton, Brandon Jones, or Sheldon Creed, then Zilic would need 26 points, Justin Allgaier 55, and he's right at that line, because then Mayer becomes one that would need help along with Kvapil, Burton, Jones, and Creed. Now, if the new win comes from Taylor Gray or a winless driver lower in the standings but eligible to advance, then you have to be 57 points above the 7th winless driver. So here again, at Zilich would need 27, Allgaier with 56, Mayer on down would need additional help. But any other drivers, and trying to see the ones I haven't mentioned yet, you got Zilich, Allgaier, Mayer, Kvapil, Burton, Jones, and that's Harrison Burton, Brandon Jones, Creed, Taylor Gray, Nick Sanchez, Jesse Love, Austin Hill, and Sammy Smith. They are all still in it, so a win would lock them in and advance them.
Going to be fun to watch. And, so many of those drivers want to win at Kansas Speedway because they might not be able to win the Roval at Charlotte.
And that is true of looking ahead of what they don't want to have to face, and that's a great finish or a solid finish at the Roval. So you're right, that certainly does come into play. One thing I wanted to point out here real quick, I know we talked about the top 12, and they're in the playoffs battle. We do have 4 rookies. I know we've primarily talked about Connor Zilich, but Carson Kvapil in 4th, still in it as a rookie, as well as Taylor Gray in 8th and Nick Sanchez in 9th. But then just outside, Christian Eckes is in 13th, the top non-playoff driver at this point. Dean Thompson, William Sawalich in 16th and 17th. Daniel Dye slid a little bit from that pack in down to 19th. But we talked about the Packer rookies this year, and 4 of them did make it into this 12-race playoff.
And like I say, the next race, the Charlotte Roval, is where we'll eliminate 4 drivers. So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
We certainly have seen some wild ones there, and I know it's more so on the Cup side, but we saw Jimmy Johnson, Martin Truex situation. We saw Kyle Larson banging off the wall with no right front tire at all, trying to get a position just to get advanced. So we have seen some wild things there at the Roval.
Do you want to cover the points?
Again, the top 12 within their championship battle, we talked about where they were ranked. Nick Sanchez and Jesse Love tied at -3, then Austin Hill and Sammy Smith, your other 2 out. So I was just kind of setting up, again, the 13th on back. That's as high as they can finish right now. Rookie Christian Eckes as sitting at 625. Jeb Burton at 617. They're still pretty tight there. They'll be battling pretty hard for that, too, because that's as high as they can finish, not being in the playoffs. Then you got Ryan Sieg at 588, only 1 point behind him is rookie Dean Thompson. William Sawalich has climbed back up, just a little too late in the season for him to make his push at 547, as well as Brendan Poole at 543. Again, now it's all about just as high as they can finish. If you didn't make the playoffs, 13th as high as you can go.
Okay, well, it'll be interesting to watch, that's for sure. This Xfinity series has been fun to watch all season long, and we do have some rookies up there in the running. So, but how much longer will they be able to hang on, Jay?
Kansas Speedway, I see where Taylor Gray and Nick Sanchez, 2 that are on the cut line or tied just below it. So those are the 2 really at risk. But I think I see solid races from them. But at this point in the season, even having a 10th place run, you got to gain on your competitors. You can't run even with them. So that's where I think the problem comes into play. If I had to pick one of those 2, honestly, I think I'd favor Nick Sanchez just as far as consistency. But Taylor Gray in one of the, I know it's not directly a Joe Gibbs Racing, but a Toyota under the Joe Gibbs Racing umbrella. We talked about some of their stats, so it's a tough one. It's a tough one.
It is indeed. It's going to be fun to watch. Again, I think it's a do not miss because I think these cars are going to be highly competitive, trying to get that win at Kansas before they go to the Roval, so that they can kind of relax for that one race. And I know they'll all be racing hard, but it won't be so much pressure on them.
And that's regardless of race. I mean, you don't want to be in the position of must win, especially at whatever the cutoff race. You mix in the fact that it is the Roval, kind of adds to it. You know, you want to be fairly secure during that cutoff round so you're not have too much pressure, as you mentioned. And that's no matter what the race. The fact that it is the Roval, I know I heard this week NASCAR and analysts talking on Sirius XM that there's that one wild card. Bristol again was a cutoff race for the Cup Series. The Roval being another one, you know, kind of adds to that intrigue. And then you got Talladega in the middle of round 3, so they mixed it up pretty well.
Okay, well, do watch for more coming soon here at Panther Racing Radio. We've got the NASCAR Xfinity and Cup Series racing at Kansas Speedway this weekend, along with the ARCA Menard Series for their penultimate race. They're going to close out their season coming up here very soon. So this is race number 19 of 20 for the ARCA Menard Series. The other race that is taking place this weekend is at Madera Speedway for the ARCA West Series, and we'll do previews for all of those races. And then on Friday, hopefully Taz and I will be able to sit down and do a fantasy report for your picks, your fantasy picks this weekend for the NASCAR Cup Series. On the other side of the weekend, we'll be back with all of the reviews for those races, along with our live stream of Hot Topic Sound Off with Jay Huseman and Chris Crichton and I discussing all the hottest topics in NASCAR. And we've got a few on our list already.
Yeah, it's crew chief changing season. We always talk about the silly season for drivers. We got some crew chief things going on, so that's interesting.
It is, and these are definite, so we'll talk about those on Monday night. But before we leave, we want to make sure we say thank you to everybody for tuning in. We do appreciate you, and we hope you'll continue to finish out the season with us. So, Jay?
Yeah, appreciate it. And again, we do have a few more, especially through these playoffs, some things as they develop, as we mentioned, of changes for next year. Our hot topic sessions get a little more hotter and hotter.
It'll be interesting, that's for sure. So take care, and we'll see you in the next video.